Okay, well, my arrival, we have,
Hopefully, both are working at refugees tonight, you gotta get the stuff in there.
all right. So, could I have a motion to accept the minutes that we received via email?
Motion. I actually scratched that, I wasn't here.
Yeah,
Must be.
I can't do it either, I wasn't here.
So moved.
All right, a second? All right. Any discussions, corrections? I have one correction. The farm is a flying carrot, not a flying cloud. That's on page 1.
There is a flying cloud, though.
The
but
clouds
I-
do fly,
That's,
The flying carrot?
but this farm,
Is
the
flying.
carrots fly.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I did see Zootopia, so maybe carrots do fly.
Other than that, they're great. I
Thank you.
so appreciate the detail. It's great. Okay, with that, one correction. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
2 abstentions, 3 in favor. All right. And I have not received any indication that we have a report or decision from the attorney. I think it's the Attorney General's office we're waiting for.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything.
Haven't heard anything?
No.
So the executive minutes will stay kind of impounded until the issue is considered closed. Okay. And we have invoices?
We do. So I'll show you the first one. This was going back, she hadn't sent it, this was due in April. So she sent it to me, she forgot. But there were no invoices to go along with it, so I don't know if you want to sign it, and I let her know I needed the invoices.
Okay. And this is, which project is this? This is the
Partners in Housing.
Partners in Housing. Okay.
So she has two,
All
actually.
right, so this
the
is for
second one.
$12,008.59, but we don't have backup
Correct. like this
documentation,
one.
and we don't have the status report
We had gotten this, yeah, we have received it.
that goes with each invoice.
That one, probably not, you're correct, because that was back in the day.
All right.
So I'll need to get that. So I don't know if you want to sign that, or wait until next month,
I think, I don't know,
under the condition of getting
it's a
the,
fair amount of money. I don't know what the committee feels. There's no documentation for it. If we want to,
Say, kick it back and ask for the backup.
Right,
yeah,
I already did that.
We've done that with everybody else.
Yeah,
That's-
you have
that's-
to do
That's the
that.
rule.
okay,
that's
Great.
the
I already
rules.
did
We will
that,
do
I
Yeah,
know
that's the
that.
rules.
okay.
That's the rest of them.
Okay, and then this one is also Partners in Housing for $9,973.78. And this is for consulting and bid documents and legal services. We do have backup documentation, we do not have.
I may have that one on, I just didn't print it out, I'm pretty sure I have it.
Okay.
I would guarantee that I have it.
Okay. Very good. If you could distribute the progress report to the committee, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll pass this along for folks to take a look at, and Jim, you can give us a motion. And then we have Studio to Sustain. This is for the Dartmouth Cultural Centers, amount of $2,130. Okay, this is for consultation services, construction documents, and the like. Do we have a status report for this one?
I'm gonna remember to do that, I completely forgot to get it.
Okay.
I did.
So I would,
I'm pretty sure I have it.
yeah, I would suggest that we consider approving this with the release of funds subject to receiving the project status report, just so we keep an update on how these projects are doing. It's, people have found it a pretty simple thing to do, We're
Yeah.
not asking for a lot, but I think it's just a matter of getting in the habit.
And same with those. Same with this one.
And Pascamansit, 225,000. And this, and this does not include the 10%, correct? Okay. And this is an important one to approve tonight, and again, we'll just get a project status report. They're gonna prepare to close, I think sometime before the end of June, I believe, so important. This is for the Pascamansit.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yes. Mhm.
And then from Attorney Savastano. All right, this is services related to the open meeting law complaint.
Another one? Oops,
I
sorry,
don't
John.
think, I think it's the same one. Receive and review email from Michelle. Review draft, okay, so this is reviewing the draft of the minutes. Okay, and the proposed changes. So that was, April. Okay, and then, I did get back to him regarding the changes in the minutes. So this is regarding finalizing the draft of the executive session minutes. And he has included his hours in the attached email.
We've spent, what, close to $700 on that complaint so far?
Is that?
We've spent close to $700 on that.
Probably right. I think you got good memory for that kind of stuff. You're probably right. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you say, oh, you got that? Oh, tonight we spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
I know, I just counted it up this afternoon.
Yeah.
A lot of money tonight.
Margaret reminds me, we do have our sign up.
Right, no.
So all can see that this meeting is being recorded by
Except Margaret.
TCTV. And that's
Well-
included in the minutes and the agenda that's posted as
Yeah.
well. I like that. Hey, Jim? A motion?
Motion to approve payment to Partners in Housing in the amount of $9,743.78.
Okay, second?
Second.
Any questions or? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Opposed? That's unanimous.
and let's scribble here. Motion to approve payment to Anthony Savastano, the amount of $330 for OML compliant executive session minutes.
Right, a second?
Second.
All right, any questions? All right, all in favor?
Right.
Aye. That's unanimous. Any opposed? That's unanimous.
Motion to approve payment to Dartmouth Cultural Center, the amount of $2,130 for services of Studio to Sustain, architectural services to Studio to Sustain.
Yeah, if I offer a friendly amendment, and that would be released upon receipt of the project status report.
To be released upon receipt of the project status report.
Second.
Any discussion?
Who said
Okay,
that?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that's unanimous.
Motion to pass command, Dartmouth Ascomanset River Drinking Water Land Protection in the amount of $225,000.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. Very good. Next, our agenda is an update on town meeting. Jim, I want to thank you
A pen.
for standing in front of that crowd on behalf of the committee and shepherding those
Withering.
votes while I was floating down a river
Yeah,
catching trout, as I believe I was doing on Tuesday.
Where were you?
Oh, I was in Michigan,
Oh,
and man, that was gorgeous, on the Osable River,
oh,
which is, I
Good
guess,
for
a
you.
very well-known.
In the UP?
Just, no, it's on the main peninsula, but way up in the kind of the northeast quadrant of it. Ooh, highly recommend that.
up in the mitten.
Yeah, you just floating down the river in a kayak and a fishing rod, and the,
did you
Current-
catch anything?
yeah, caught about 15 trout.
Okay, as long as you caught some.
Yeah, yeah, I will,
Yeah. It's
We had a
all way-
not-
It's all the way you position the camera. I know that trick.
yeah. Yeah, so, I'm gonna, take a moment here, and I will stand corrected, hopefully there won't be a complaint, that this was off topic.
It is fun.
Where is it? But, we had one person with us who had never fished before, which we didn't realize that. And doggone if he didn't catch the biggest fish.
Beginner's luck.
Yeah, and we were all sort of,
Floating down the river.
I will find that for you.
Well,
and
Jim did a
pass
nice
it
job.
Yes.
He did a nice job.
I stayed on script.
I know,
It
you
was-
told me that after
It
town
was,
meeting, but he
it
did a
was
good
such a
job.
nice job that they actually requested it for next town meeting.
Yeah,
I think you found a replacement. I heard that was online, I was online monitoring, and they said you did such a fine job that they're requesting you back again.
I love it, I love it.
I don't know, we can't, the people rule,
that's right.
so. We'll be setting up a trip to go to Michigan to go fishing.
All right, you can pass that
Oh,
along.
wow, that's a nice fish.
It's a nice fish.
That is a nice fish.
The,
Do they have catch and release, or could you keep them?
We were always, we tend to be
always do
catch and release,
okay.
yeah.
Fish looks familiar, I saw that one at the New England Aquarium.
Yeah, yeah. It's when it started singing, "Don't Worry, Be Happy," I was like, oh, man.
Oh, good for you.
But that's great, all the recommendations went through.
Yeah.
So that's terrific. What we need to do now is, I'll put together the MOU and project grant agreements. So I just thought I'd take a few minutes and just check in about essentially our conditions that we would apply to these agreements. So we have the Cornell Pond. Our typical conditions on these agreements are, one, you've signed an agreement, you either an MOU or a program agreement before any funds are released. If there are other funds needed for the project, that you have all those funds commitments in place before the CPA funds are released. And typically that works for just about
Thank you, John.
Yes, thank you, John, just
They're,
about.
they're working on the wall next door, so it's gonna,
Oh, it's not gonna matter?
they're working inside that next
Right.
room, yeah, so.
And so with Cornell Pond, there's, the CPA funds are a match for Mass Trails grant that is to be submitted. So I imagine we would, you know, that's our typical condition, we'd have that we would have to have the other funds in place in order to proceed with using CPA funds, which avoids the situation of a project kind of starting, but really not being able
Right.
to proceed,
yeah.
and yet there's money out the door, kind of a thing. I think in most of these projects, that kind of a condition won't be an issue. The housing production plan, I guess we'd need to know if the technical assistance grant from Serped was received, or the town has decided to go with just the CPA-funded version of the plan. So that's kind of what the CPA funds are enough to produce a plan, update the plan, but the additional money from Serped would provide for a real community process and more detail.
I was at the last meeting of
Yeah.
Serpent, and
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what they said. Chris was there, maybe Michelle, you could ask Chris Vitale. He was there too, okay, because I'm sorry, I can't remember, but they
Okay.
did discuss it. I don't think they discussed Dartmouth though, but maybe they did, I just can't remember. But it was discussed, so maybe if you ask Chris.
Okay. I think the Pontiac Park Dias Landing Master Plan, the CPA funds, and the Seaport Economic Council grant are in place, so we would just make sure we had evidence of the commitment from the SEC, and that in these kinds of contracts, and that should probably be true of Cornell Pond and housing production, is that they've executed a contract with the entity providing the services. Again, to kind of avoid
Sure.
things falling apart and money's already out the door. The dredging design and permitting. I think it's very similar to the other projects. I don't think there's anything unique, so evidence of all the commitments and that they've got a contract with, just for the service to do the survey and analysis.
Buddy? What sort of permitting is needed? I mean, it's.
I think it's very much environmental impact,
but
so
is-
if they,
is
you
it
know,
Get to the
What-
Corps of Engineers and,
yeah, I wonder, maybe Corps of Engineering
I would think so.
engineers. Certainly the state,
I think so.
yeah, for
I
dredging
think
the
so.
harbor,
Or
yeah, that's-
dredging the
Yeah,
harbor, you have to,
yeah, I mean, heaven forbid, you know, you get into a situation where there's
Something.
Right.
something toxic.
right.
yeah, where you're gonna create a disturbance that's gonna impact the shellfish bed
Right.
and stuff like that,
And,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and, you know.
Yeah.
And do we know?
No, I think that's all part of the package, and so that's part of the services. They would both survey, this is not to do the dredging, this is to survey and then lay out all the potential impacts and mitigation and recommend a dredging strategy to try to mitigate, and then I believe even go as far as starting to get through the permitting process. this is what we propose to do, this is how we propose to do it, and get the permits for that. That's my understanding. Then you need to get the contractor actually do the work and do it according to specs and things like that. That's my understanding.
Did we have an estimated projection of when this was gonna start?
This project, like the design,
Yeah.
the survey design
No,
thing?
real dredging.
I don't, that's a great question. I don't
'Cause
know.
I don't remember them
I don't
having a
know,
date.
like-
Do you? Anybody remember? No, okay.
No,
And I don't
it's
know.
probably years away with permitting and,
Yeah, I would imagine the permitting process is lengthy.
Okay.
And I don't know how seasonal dredging is. And then the dinghy, they need to submit their, I think they, I don't know if they have yet, but they need to submit their application to the Seaport Economic Council for the additional funds to make those improvements. So I will, if there's no other kind of particular condition for any of these projects, I will draft up in the next couple of weeks all the MOUs and agreements, send them off to the sponsors, it's typically, and say, review it, do you have any questions? What they have to do is then submit, what is it, Schedule B? There's a proposed disbursement schedule that they then submit that becomes an attachment to the agreement. So hopefully, when we get together in July, a lot of that stuff will be ironed out, and we'll be able to approve signing off on these agreements.
So are these they're like addendums to the agreement?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We do not have any project review, project status reports to look at. So we're fine there. And the update on the conservation restriction process, I was hoping Kyle could be here because he did take it to Conservation Commission. And Nick Wildman from DNRT had asked me about that. So I sent him over this draft, and I cautioned him, it's a rough idea about how I think this might work, but the Conservation Commission has to consider this. The town council's gotta, make sure we've got this down right. But he was fine with that. I told him if, I felt that Nick should still consider the CPA as a viable funding source for open space projects. A little bit different process about how to approach them to secure the CPA funds, but not to shy away. I mean, there's clearly interest and commitment that the CPA funds are used for open space preservation. So I need to follow up. Probably the next thing you do is send this off to town council and say, is my understanding correct here about what the options would be about how to proceed to secure, what the warrant would look like. Is it correct that the town is the entity who's making application for these projects going forward? Things like that. The one thing I did say to Kyle, the important thing for, I think, the Conservation Commission is to confirm that their willingness to partner with other entities for the monitoring of restrictions. I mean, it's in their interest because it takes helps them with the workload, but they have to be willing to, contract with the likes of a Buzzards Bay or something like that, to jointly hold a restriction. So I haven't heard back if there was any concern from the Conservation Commission about jointly holding restrictions. I know they are very concerned from a workload point of view, just capacity point of view. They're very concerned about being the sole holder of lots of conservation restrictions. They feel that they may not have the capacity to fulfill the monitoring obligations of a CR. I'll reach out to Kyle and maybe give me an idea, and I can forward to you. If he gets back to me, I can forward to you if there's anything more about where the Conservation Commission may be on this.
But if they're concerned about capacity, is there something within the CPC that funds can be allocated to hire somebody on an interim basis, just specifically to monitor those conservation restrictions?
We can't, but the town can. So that's part of, so for instance, the town meeting can award an endowment to an entity to hold a restriction. But,
I'm talking about the funds, like, could they come out of our allotment of funds, the 2%, and something be culled out of there in order to make sure that everything's copacetic with the, by hiring somebody, on a part-time basis just to monitor that?
on top of already the monitoring that one would do, or to replace? We
Well,
can't replace the monitoring.
I'm saying
Yeah.
if they're at a limit, they don't have the capacity to do it, they don't have the staffing to do it, and that's the issue.
Right.
Is there a way that we can fund them through CPC funds, through either administrative side or something else, to make up the difference, to be able to hire somebody to just go out there and monitor our interests?
Well, that's where the joint holder piece, they would have to be the entity contracting for that. But yes, that's where the joint holder piece. And these are projects in which the owner of the land is a private entity, and the real property interest of the town, which CPA requires, is the restriction. So in like Pasco Mansit, the town outright is acquiring the land. They don't, and I think Buzzards Bay is gonna hold the restriction and things like that. And so there's no concern about that. But if in the end, say a DNRT was to own the property, and the town then is purchasing a conservation restriction, which then helps DNRT, reimburses DNRT for a portion of the acquisition costs. The town just has to be a partner, has to be a signatory to that. So that's the key thing, is if they can jointly hold it.
But what about an individual who wants to who set up a conservation restriction on their land? And, they keep the land, how do they get a partner? Do they sell it to the town? Well, you're not selling it because they want to keep the land, because I just read something.
Well, yeah, what you're selling is, yes, what you do is you are selling to the town a conservation restriction.
Restriction, right.
Sometimes people sell it by donating it and say, I'll accept the restriction, and like, I think there was, if I remember right, the Cornell Farm.
There's been a few of them.
Part of that
in lieu of
deal.
taxes, I'll accept, yeah.
Yeah.
Usually it's useless pieces of property, usually.
Yeah,
Well, I just read something in the trustees of reservation.
yeah.
I get their monthly thing, and they had a big thing about that, and individuals still maintaining, still keeping the land, but given that conservation restriction.
Yeah, so I think it can be considered a charitable contribution in the sense of what the owner is saying, like, my land is appraised at, $600,000. With a conservation restriction, it's going to be worth $200,000.
Right, so that 400.
I will give you the restriction, and essentially, I'm giving you $400,000 worth of value.
Right.
And I don't know if it's dollar for dollar, but it's like making a charitable contribution. So some people use it for tax write-off.
What is the staffing of the Conservation Commission? How many people are in
Ooh,
there?
that's a good question.
3?
1.5 or 2.
Well, you got You got two people, and you have, and they share an office with Board of Health, so there's where the problem is, they kind of, it's very blurry there.
Well,
Staff
okay.
back and forth.
They, I mean, how many people have Conservation Commission on their card?
Oh,
Two?
there's 1.5, you see, yeah.
Yeah,
Mark
yeah, one and a
and-
half.
Yeah, there's a part-time, actually his assistant, I don't know if he's part-time.
Yeah.
She's full-time.
She's full-time, so there's two, yeah.
So there's two people and a clerical person,
No,
and, huh?
No,
there's no clerical
That, Karen.
person. There's no clerical person.
they share, I said they share the Board of Health, they're in the same
Right.
Oh, in space, but,
space, but they do all the work themselves, as far as I know.
yeah, okay. I mean, so it's, two independent FTEs. I mean, two FTEs that are I mean, the other setting that I've known, a department of that size, we're happy to, keep themselves aware of the conservation lands that the town had or had authority over. And
We have a lot.
yeah, I know there's a lot,
Yeah.
and,
We have
There's a
like,
lot. Yeah.
yeah,
I've had my issues with conservation in the past from the park board side, but I will come to the defense.
Joe, I mean.
They're a busy group, no, I give them kudos
Yeah.
for that. Even when Mike was here, they're a busy group, there's a lot of
I
things
know
that
that,
go on.
and, okay.
I could see they're hesitant about their workload, I could see that, that's why I'm thinking, if there's something that we from CPC side can do to maybe help augment
Right.
that by getting another person there specifically for these, for the restrictions, to try to monitor that. And again, it doesn't have to be a full-time position, but it's something that maybe we can help them out somewhere to cover this, so we can
Yeah.
keep the town moving, that's just my thought, you know?
I see, I understand what you're talking about. I think maybe if we could, one of the issues, well, no, I think that's right. If we could, let's first see what they think about jointly holding.
Okay.
But I see, right, I see your point now, then otherwise could a position be funded just for the CPA projects to monitor those CRs? I don't know, and I don't know if another town has attempted that. But let's see if the joint thing, and if
I
that,
think that we would have some control over that too, we'd probably get a better report, we'd be more accountable, because that's what they do. Specifically, not have other duties.
so I will follow up, I'll get from Kyle an update. I'll put this out to Savastano's office, so there will be another legal bill coming.
I like them.
You like it? I don't like legal bills.
And we'll see where we go, how this kind of starts to take shape. Okay, our website, something we have talked about in the past. Does everybody have a copy of these things?
I can pass them out.
Okay, so here, I can pass them out.
I can already say I'm disappointed with the website. There should be a picture of Buddy in his kayak holding his fish.
Yeah.
Put them up there. So you should have screenshot it, John. We could have sent it to the web person. Put it up there.
I tell you, I took the worst photo, all the photographs of me are the most embarrassing photographs. My brother-in-law, I went with my brother-in-laws and one of their friends, basically concluded that I looked like a pile of laundry in a kayak.
Okay.
Because my vest was pushed up against my ears, sitting in this thing. I had this really dweeby, like floppy
So
hat.
you were the Elmer Fudd of
Oh,
kayaks.
yeah. And I tell you, I can't disagree with them. Oh, my God, they're amazingly embarrassing.
Outstanding.
So a while back, we had talked about some proposed improvements to the webpage, and we've done some of these. We have an email, so in terms of email, we have a CPC box now, our inbox. So that is a way of reaching us. Don't know if we get a lot of traffic, but that is the way we have on our website, you can reach us. We have our annual report. Included in our annual report is the annual budget. What we have done in the last year is now we've started to post information about proposals that are under review. So once we have reviewed them and there isn't any issue about eligibility or anything like that, then Michelle puts up, you can link to their whole proposal, I believe, right? That's what we've been trying to do. That's easier said than done.
Yeah, I don't think we've won from here.
Yeah, but the idea is, you could link and just see, because they send the proposal electronically. So we're trying to get to that where you could just read the whole thing. We did put a summary of the proposals, so for people who don't want to get buried in the detail, we do have a summary of these are the proposals that are under consideration. So we've trying to get more transparent in that respect. What we've talked about also is a list or link to projects that the CPC has funded. And so this was one mock-up that we had looked at a long time ago, that maybe what you would do if you clicked on, if you had a list and you saw Ocean View Farm and you clicked on it in our website, this page would come up. We'll briefly tell you about it, what the funding source is, and a photograph, something of that nature. Now, here's where I'm gonna ask Michelle to do something that she didn't know I was gonna ask her to do, so that's my preface for that. Can you get to other town CPCs? Can you do that from here? Can you search?
I walk around there.
I have towns that if you pulled them up, can you get to the internet here?
Oh, the internet is bad in here, so I think
Okay.
it'll be difficult. It was hard to get this to stay on today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I may lose this trying to do that.
Okay. But we can get that back.
We don't know.
DCTV person will save us, right? Because they're watching.
I would know
I
that, 'cause
know about
I
that.
walk there
So
all
you
the
just
time.
want a
I don't see
random
anybody
town?
going down there with
No,
kayaks or anything.
if you would
They
look
don't,
up
advertise it.
No,
Falmouth,
there's no way to get
CPC.
down there. I mean, you can go down with, and it says no dogs and all, but I didn't think that, I'm gonna have to walk down there.
Maybe that's just a different photo.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
They just threw a picture up there for the sake of throwing a picture
right,
up there.
yep, and just click on that.
I gotta look this up.
Oh, here we go.
Okay,
Okay.
so this is what Falmouth looks like. So one of the things that's interesting, and Falmouth is kind of like a Cadillac version. If you go down a little bit in this, keep going down, you'll see that they have a link. So they have different things, about their application and due dates and stuff like that, like we have in their public hearing for needs assessment, their minutes and stuff like that. Then they have documents like we have. Keep going. They have their forms and other needs assessments, and they have lists of projects. Let's see, where is, go up a little bit. So if you want to go down to lists of projects first, just any of those.
You want to just go for
Yeah.
the first one?
Yeah, just say housing. So they just have this kind of like list of all the projects since their inception in housing and how much money and the date and stuff like that.
Gee, I've seen a list like that for Dartmouth. Did you make one, buddy, or am I thinking of planning now?
I wonder if it's planning.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that
Uh-huh.
list. Ask Christine. If it's not you, it's Christine that got that list.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that, a list for
Yeah.
Dartmouth.
Uh-huh. So if we go back.
Let me move.
I think if you just close out the X up there, where the tab that you're on, not that one. No, not that, over there in the tabs,
Yeah, I just, oh,
right there.
I thought I
Okay.
closed it, okay, good.
And let's see, where did I see it? So if you go up a little bit. La, 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 la. No, a little bit more. Where did I see that? I was just looking at that actually today. Keep going. On the right. Falmouth Community Preservation Fund, or, yeah, right there. So they have like their own, so this is the Cadillac. That's just, I'm not saying that I think we could or should, but the interesting thing is, so they have, kind of cool thing. If you go down a little bit, keep going. Our projects, you hit on our projects. So the cool, one of the interesting things is they have a map of where all of their projects are and kind of color-coded at what type of project. So if you click on one of those colored boxes, doesn't matter, no, of them in the map,
Oh, yeah.
you'll just get this little thing, here's the address, it's community housing. So that's interesting. So I wonder down the road if we might be able to do a GIS type of a
I
thing,
think that's nice.
where maybe the way to do this is, the link
Funny
on
that the
it.
GIS comes out of conservation, so.
That's true, that's true.
That's who has the GIS
Yeah.
maps.
That it may be possible to have like a map, and then you click on it, and then maybe what would come up is this. So you'd either have a list, you could get to this, or you'd go to a map, and you'd get to something like this. So if we could go
I
to,
think that's something that we would have to talk to the communications coordinator
yeah,
about.
oh yeah, absolutely,
She,
yeah,
she would be able to handle that.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. So let's, if you could look at Sandwich. Michelle didn't know I was gonna do this to her.
You didn't.
Sandwich CPC. Yeah. So it kind of looks like
Kind of looks like
that.
ours.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely, there's a consultant that's doing very similar things. So if you want to kind of click on any of their projects and just see what they do for a project. And so it's kind of similar to what we have here. So they have very basic thing, and then some photographs. So that's what you can learn about projects. I think there are only a few, so I think there must be like the recent projects. I believe. And then, if you look at Bedford, Bedford. And you got minutes and stuff like that.
Looks like sandwich with grain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same consultant.
Yeah. So they don't have a whole lot of information on specific projects. And then, though the interesting thing here, just to take a look, if you click on their plan, their program and plan, below that one. Yeah, that one. So they have this, like, they must have a staff, a coordinator, some CPCs hire a part-time staff person. Anyway, you get a bazillion page thing here. But if you keep going down, so they kind of just do this list of every project that they've ever done and how much. Again, it's good for transparency. And then if you keep going, they'll eventually, keep going. Then they kind of go through their goals and objectives. And this is the interesting thing. They, that's helpful. You could blow, So this is 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So their CPC has a number of multi-year commitments, which is interesting. So there are, there's a housing fund trust that they are making periodic contributions to. I think there may also be an open space. So there's a number of, and there's anticipation of some projects that they're gonna fund something now, and then 5 years later, they expect they're going to make another commitment. So it's interesting. They have this kind of sense of, they have these commitments that they are making kind of on a kind of reoccurring basis, which is something we don't do. I thought that was interesting, like, wow, look at that, different from
Yeah,
us.
I don't know how, I'm confused.
But are they commitments or, which it would seem to imply future
Well,
committees and town
right,
meeting?
town meetings still, right, thank you.
Or expressions of
Their
intent?
plan.
This is the typical 5-year plan. Even the town has it. They're asking for a 5-year.
This was their plan.
So this is the CPC's.
Right, thank you.
And projections.
Projections, yeah.
Correct, that's important. My commitment was the wrong word.
Oh, it's okay, so they're projections.
Yeah.
Okay.
If all goes
But
well,
the interesting thing is they
we'll-
have certain things that they plan to invest in on a reoccurring basis, which is
We
interesting.
kind of do that anyways, we reallocate funds to put inside housing or whatever every year. We
Well,
vote on
that's-
that.
Which are
that's
different from
required by the
reserves.
Act. I mean, that's required by the Community Preservation
Yeah,
Act.
these are not reserves.
Yeah,
These
Yeah.
are in addition to
Yeah,
any
projections.
reserves.
yeah.
Like they have a housing trust in Bedford,
and-
affordable housing trust. And
Okay.
so I think there are, every few years, they plan to make like a $400,000 or $500,000 contribution to the trust. And then the trust runs with, projects and so on. But I just thought that was interesting, but it's plan, not commitments. Yeah. I think you can go to town meeting for multi-year commitments. I did not look at any of these to see if that's what they did in Bedford.
Every year we change it, the funding could change every year.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
no, it's a different approach.
I mean,
why they don't lease,
The argument that I'd heard was, well, towns can elect to discontinue participation in the Community Preservation Act. And, very few have, but,
Right,
and so consequently, there was reluctance to express a commitment,
yeah.
and,
Yep.
One town just went to town meeting, I forget, maybe last year, and wanted to dissolve it. But I don't think town meeting said no, but I can't remember which town it was.
Interesting.
it was much easier to say no when the state match was more generous.
Yeah, yeah,
And, you know,
yeah. Very true. So those are some examples. So if we want to go back to Dartmouth. Great. That's Bedford. Yeah, if you just do Dartmouth,
Yeah,
that'll get us there.
I was hoping I could just get to it, yeah.
You're doing a fabulous job,
Oh, gosh.
a fabulous job.
Yeah, here I go. I had it all set up, buddy. I don't think this will come up like that.
There we are. All right. So, what do people think about our webpage? We looked at some examples of what other folks do, what we want to achieve in terms of what we want to communicate to the town residents. What's your thoughts?
Have we got on that webpage? I looked at it, but I just opened it up.
Yeah.
Okay, when I think you sent me something to, or Michelle, somebody sent something to me. So I opened it up. But do we have on our webpage all the projects that we've done and since we've began?
No, we do not. So that's something we need to,
I think we
To
need to
do.
put that on there.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, format-wise, I like the same format that other towns are using. That way, if somebody wants to go from town to town, they kind of, people aren't gonna get confused. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
cluttered, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. What do people, this is the first time we've tried like a thumbnail description of the proposals that are going to town meeting.
I think that's good. Too much information sometimes is,
Yeah.
And if they're interested, they'll just dig deeper.
that's right,
I mean,
that's
the
right.
information's there. I mean, they're out there at the town website. They can bounce around
Yeah.
anyway to find it if necessary.
I think that the perfect world would be like you'd have this, but each of those bolded headings would actually be a link. So you could look at the dinghy and you could see that summary. But if you clicked on the dinghy, it would take you to the proposal that they submitted. I mean, that would be kind of a pretty smooth thing. If you really want to get into the detail, you just click, but otherwise, you got everything you really need to know.
Do they need to see the proposals? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that, we have a little concise what we've done, and if you have a picture of the property, or whatever we've done. And then they can always, as Joe said, they can always dig deeper,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Do we have a tracker on this, buddy? How many times it's opened up? Is there a counter?
I don't
If not, I
know
would
if
probably,
it-
I would like to
Right.
see a counter on there, just out of curiosity. I mean, we're putting,
Uh-huh.
the town's putting a lot of energy into this, but
Right.
actually, how many times are gonna be viewed?
Yeah,
You know, I think that's kind of important before we start getting, it's viewed like 15 times or 20 times in the course of a year, then it's not worth, I mean, basic information, but I mean, if it's a hot spot where there's a lot of information, people are viewing it and looking at it, then I'd just be curious to see how many.
okay. I
It
can-
takes a while to build traffic on these things.
Well, I just think at the
Oh, yeah.
beginning, to see, I mean, if we put it out there, I mean, I would, be one of the other ones too, that would be a question I would ask for all of our sites. Since everything we do in town now is being pushed online, a lot of permits and other things we do, so this would be something else. So people are getting more accustomed to going online to do things, so just be curious to see how many clicks.
I often wondered, when I was on the zoning board, I went one time to Colorado, and I was aghast to see that when they have a zoning meeting or a planning meeting, 2 or 3 weeks prior to, they have signs on the property. Date, this is gonna go before the zoning board of appeals, this is gonna go before the planning.
That's a very
And I
good
just-
idea.
Yeah, I think I thought it was a good idea for this, in Colorado, they did it. And I just wondered, maybe, do we put little signs maybe on the projects that we've done? Or, I mean, it wouldn't be that expensive, or the projects we're working on? I mean, how much does it cost?
We
A
do
much
have a
simpler example is forever, towns have been putting up tree removal notices.
Right.
This tree is coming down, if you
Right,
care about it.
exactly right.
And if there's a ZBA action pending on your neighbor's
I thought it
skateboard
was a
park.
good idea, I really did. Now, Mattapoisett's having big problems with the tree removal on Beacon Street and, it's right in the village. They've been arguing about removal of the trees because they've got a funding from Serpent, and they're redoing that
Oh, yeah,
street.
yeah,
Have you heard about it?
No, but
Okay,
I
so
can
they're
see
kind
where
of
this is
like-
going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought, even with, just for us, if we wanted to put a sign up, a small sign, and say, this project's under consideration, this, I don't know, it's, what the committee thinks.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I mean, I'm guessing that our zoning laws require other notices to abutters or,
Oh, they do.
yeah,
Yeah.
and in that spirit, it's a very good idea.
Interesting. Uh-huh.
I thought it was, I always thought it was a good idea for zoning board of appeals, but, and I still think it's kind of a good thing for the zoning board of appeals, especially now. But even with us, maybe we could do something like that, because a lot of people don't, I hate to say it, but a lot of people don't read, they don't.
Well, we don't have we barely have a newspaper.
I know, the Chronicle was really great for that,
And,
okay? And not that there's anything wrong with Dartmouth Weekly, it's nice, but it's a small little paper.
Yeah.
And, I don't know,
Well, it's interesting, I mean, you could have a very simple thing that says,
Right.
open,
open.
open space,
Yeah.
proposal for,
Right,
under consideration for CPA.
yes,
And then have our web page.
right, that's.
For more
that's perfect.
information.
Yeah, that's a
To
perfect.
try to
thing.
drive
Yeah.
people to the web page.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect.
And look at what
Yep,
look
we've
at
done. Yeah,
the web page.
that's the
That's
exact
an
sign that we should be able to do.
Interesting,
That's
interesting
just an
thought.
idea, it's an idea,
Yeah, and you could use them more than once.
right,
Because it's not, people, part of our project, they put up when we approve a project and it's funded, then part of the cost is to put up, this project was funded by. So you can find those signs in a lot of different places. So that's an interesting idea.
I'm thinking back to, a very long time ago in the town of Brookline, there were precinct notice boards. In each of the town's precincts, and I think there it was diced smaller than it is here. And it was a more compact town. There was a notice board that, public notices of, particularly of a municipal sort, would be put up. Today, some yahoo would be putting up a sign, we'll deliver your propane tank, but
Yeah, yeah.
I have seen that sign, that is a real sign,
it's on public trees,
I know, I've seen that sign.
Yeah.
and they should be taken down, but,
Well, it isn't that easy. I took a sign down, because I walk all the time, and I tried to take a sign down, I couldn't do it because they had stapled it in so bad. So I went home and I got in my car and I went down and I climbed in the back of my car and opened it. I still couldn't do it, so then I went a third time and I got a hammer. This is the truth. And I tried, but the middle stayed. I could not, because they stapled it with some kind of big staple, I couldn't get, but it infuriated me that they did that.
Yeah.
And it was
Oh,
an
it's a-
advertisement for oil delivery, and it infuriated me that they had that gall to put that on a nice tree like that. They had no right to do that.
I mean, I'm just wondering, is there any, other, a broader, public communication campaign? We don't do very well
No.
in informing folks as what their town government's doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Well, I want to bring us back to this page.
yeah,
And we will, if we do the signs, we will not put them on trees.
Okay.
All right?
Well, you don't have to, because as being a real estate,
Yes,
you can get all kinds of
exactly.
little things.
That's right. And put, yes, exactly. That's
So
what-
easy.
That's what I think you're describing.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do folks think? So we need to get a list of we can
Yes.
get to a list of our projects. And what do folks think about trying to do a map as one way to get to information about a project?
It's nice, especially for people
I
know
think
that
it's
if
great.
they're in South Dartmouth, they go, oh, yeah, I
We
want
can
to
do
do
it.
it. I want to look at
People
this.
do it, the staff, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, Falmouth has got a fabulous website, you know. it's like,
Yeah,
Why reinvent the wheel, but,
right.
Do the
you know,
same
I don't know
thing.
where they're getting their support from, if they're paying,
Yeah.
but,
I know we have the GIS system, I know that,
Yes,
that it's
we
pretty,
do.
it's pretty elaborate, because that's what made these.
I mean,
You just
I'm
add.
wondering, is there, a statewide, organization would be the wrong word, but I think means that the GIS people in towns, get together and talk about methods. I'm guessing that a lot of them are using the same tools.
Yeah,
And, particularly, they're dealing with the same set of data
Yeah,
yeah,
of projects, calendars,
yeah,
categories of projects, queries against, the Community Preservation Coalition has a tool where you can query against the statewide database. And I don't know whether anybody's built something off that.
We already have, like,
Yeah.
conservation areas already marked off, there's actually a color-coded box for that.
Yeah.
Trying to see if the map was here, it was here one time.
uh-huh,
One of the maps, it actually showed all the conservation, town-owned, it shows
Yeah.
town-owned property, it shows, the only thing would be like the Aikens house wouldn't be listed, that would be something that would have to be manually entered into that, all of the points of the kiosks
yeah,
for the thing, that would something we have to manual enter, but all the other stuff that we've done, they're somewhere within the
Right.
conservation and DNRT, I think that's all listed
yeah, yeah,
by color category, I think,
Yeah.
in the, because I think, when Mike O'Reilly was here, he was big into that, because I know he allowed me to use it for some other things, town-related, the program, and he had a lot of stuff in it already. I bet you if you talk to Matt, you'd
Yeah.
be surprised the amount of information that's in there already,
yeah, yeah.
that they've put
Okay.
in.
Yeah, but I will check with, what's it, what's the communications person's name? Magnolia, I knew it started with an M. Yeah, I can check with Magnolia and say, we're really interested in doing this. I'll suggest that she take a look at Falmouth, and that's what would like to do this, something similar. Okay. So one question is, what do people think about putting the whole proposal up for people to get a link to?
Fine.
I don't know,
well, it's a work in progress.
right,
So, an application at the end of the process may look a little different than what was originally submitted, and, we're gonna update it, and, so if someone's doing homework for a town meeting.
It's a lot of work.
They don't have the most current information.
Yeah.
So that's what scares me about doing that, is, you know, if we had staff that was on top of it, but we
That's
don't.
right.
We
You know,
don't,
we put
right.
information on it, and it'd be outdated and.
Just a proposal,
Next
just,
meeting.
just
Yeah, you
whatever
know,
it is, the basic, I
yeah.
mean, if they, again, if you're interested, please, please
Right.
email us
Right.
at this, and we can get you more information,
Yeah,
if
you don't
necessary.
need to do that.
Uh-huh.
And that way they're gonna, the
Right.
the
Oh,
person
that's-
will be able to get the most
Yeah.
current information that's out there.
So like, a link to the sponsor.
Yeah. they-
Link to the sponsor is one thing, but, you know, listing like we did in, you know, this year, you know, just a brief description of the
Right.
project,
Yeah,
you know, without any details, I think it's smart, because if we provide details, it's
Good change.
fluid.
right, it is, yeah, okay.
Okay.
I would think that they'd, I mean, the various projects that get proposed differ widely in how much detail there is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And, so,
it can be a little unwieldy, I know, you know,
yeah. and-
think about Michelle, that some come in with multiple
Yeah,
attachments.
When it gets to
and-
town meeting phase, and we know that in advance, then you can put the project up, because now it's basically, it's been anointed, okay, now it goes up. Now you can look at it, because chances of it changing are probably something on. But I think in the process itself, I agree with John. I think that just a synopsis of what this is about, and if it piques your interest, well, you can reach out either to the sponsor or, you know, via the email and ask for more information.
Yeah, but to John's point, there may be some changes that have occurred, but we're not gonna be able
Yeah.
to
No, I-
amend
I think
these,
it-
you know.
Can't do it. It's a lot of
Yeah,
work.
again, once we get to town meeting, once we get to that final
Right.
phase, and it's already been done, then we know that could be put up, because that's public.
The other thing I can put up here is, our town meeting packet, when I send it off to, the clerk, you know, we could post it on our webpage, so that people who are not town meeting members can see what's going, the project description and all that kind of, our budgets and all that kind of stuff that is, going to town meeting members. Okay. Okay, so we'll start chipping away with that. I think the next thing I have to do is, reach out to Magnolia and say, this is what we want to do. What is the information that would be needed to do that? All right, good, that's very helpful. Our next meeting is, let's see, when are we meeting?
July 9th.
July 9. We will be discussing proposals that have been submitted for consideration at the July meeting. And we will approve executing the agreements from the proposals approved at the June meeting. That's kind of the big business. August would be then, when the sponsors for any proposals would make presentations, and then we'll do our recommendations to the town. And Michelle, thank you for driving. Appreciate it. That worked. We were fortunate. That was very smooth. Thank you to DCTV for making all this available. That's great. Any other business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, second. All in favor?
All right.
I oppose. Who wants to sit here a little bit longer? No, it's unanimous.